Hi everyone, this is our FS405 presentation. We are Sumana, Goli, McMahon, and Cullen, Wargo, and we'll be presenting on big data and climate change. Climate change is the overall change in Earth's temperature and environment. Climate change includes global warming, which is the long-term heating of the planet, and other outcomes of climate change include rising sea levels, melting ice caps and glaciers, and a change in regular seasons that we know. According to NASA, the average temperature has risen about 2 degrees Fahrenheit. The amount of Arctic ice is decreasing on average by 13.2% per decade. But how does climate change relate to food microbiology? Microbes on the planet are affected by climate change just like humans are. For a more specific example, in the same way that polar bears are dependent on the maintenance of Arctic temperatures, marine microorganisms are affected by rising temperature and acidification of oceans. Another important fact to remember is that microorganisms play a role in both the production and consumption of greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Therefore, our changing levels of greenhouse gases are impacting the microorganisms on the planet. All of this means that interactions between microorganisms, plants, including crops, and animals are changing as the climate changes. So, populations of microorganisms are changing. Some species are becoming more abundant while others naturally are becoming less abundant. This is affecting our crops, therefore our food production. This also includes pathogenic species, thereby influencing the interaction between animals and certain pathogenic microbes, some of which are foodborne and or waterborne. Now we have a very brief video on the definition of big data and how it relates to climate change.
Big storms might be a little scary, but truly cataclysmic weather can be downright devastating. Economic losses from hurricanes, floods, typhoons, and other horrible stuff top $200 billion annually. And the impact is felt everywhere, in industries ranging from tourism to agriculture, fishing, and air travel. In fact, more than a third of global GDP is affected by natural disasters. The scariest part about climate change for business is not the increased severity of storms, but an increasingly unpredictable world where storms catch everyone by surprise. So while politicians and scientists spent the last couple decades deciding if climate change was real or not, the business and tech worlds turned to a new kind of cloud for weather predictions. This big data revolution, with its massive storage farms and supercomputers, has spawned a rapidly growing world of hyper-local, real-time forecasting. Take Superstorm Sandy, for example. 3 days before the storm hit, forecasters were able to determine landfall within 10 miles of its actual location, which allowed millions of people plenty of time to prepare and evacuate. Now roll the clock back to 1970, when the National Hurricane Center's landfall predictions were only accurate within 518 miles. By 1990, that number improved to 345 miles. But that's still the distance between Philly and Boston. So yeah, big data has basically turned weathermen into magicians. Even the White House has caught wind of big data. President Obama launched climate.data.gov in March 2014 as a tool to help web developers create the next breakthrough in weather predictions. Google joined the cause by committing 1,000 terabytes of storage for satellite images and climate models. Vulnerable industries, big and small, now have access to a wide range of tools that monitor live weather patterns and make strategic decisions. These decisions might be something big, like rerouting ships to safer ports, or relatively little stuff, like alerting a restaurant that it's a good time to stock up on lettuce before the big drought. Most scientists now agree that the weather is only getting messier. Storms are getting bigger, and they are showing up in some pretty unlikely places. So while the clouds get more unruly, there is a chance that the cloud arrived just in time to ensure that getting caught out in the rain will become a thing of the past.
Big data is defined as large volumes of data, both structured and unstructured, that allows insights and aids in decision-making. It aids in the identification of trends and can be used to develop strategies to aid businesses, researchers, and has many other applications. For the purposes of this video, we will focus on big data's ability to sequence whole genomes and develop a genome sequence bank. government organizations such as the NIH or CDC can use big data to identify new trends in infectious diseases as well. This can range from outbreak identification in foodborne pathogens to predicting the newest emerging infectious diseases. As far as climate change goes, there is an enormous data set on meteorological trends. Weather on data, such as warming temperatures leading to warmer water temperatures or warmer weather occurring typically temperate environments, can aid in the identification of new disease outbreaks. This is because water activities such as recreational activities or activities that are cultural, such as river bathing, wouldn't normally take place in the more temperate areas. However, with the warming water temperatures, people will be more inclined to enter the water and exposing themselves to potential new pathogens. Within the parentheses of identifying new infectious diseases, there are two important factors that make the use of pathogen genomics and using large data sets to identify trends useful. They are the timely coalition of information as well as the dissemination of genomic and epidemiological metadata. The tailoring of these datasets to clinicians and researchers is crucial for the efficacy of using big data in healthcare. For example, having information on a hypothetical salmonella outbreak 3 years after the outbreak isn't a useful or effective model. However, a system that allows clinicians real-time access to new patient data to be used to identify the source of the outbreak is an effective use of big data. Here are some of the effects of climate change on disease. Increases in inland flooding, the spread of contaminated soil and water to previously uncontaminated bodies of water and agricultural land. Increases in floodplains can cause spikes in mycotoxin to produce fungi and molds, as well as the spread of heavy metals, pesticides, and pathogens. As ocean temperatures increase, toxic algal blooms become more common. These toxic algal blooms are known as red tides because the proliferation of diatoms cause the ocean to take a reddish hue. Diatoms produce a toxin known as domoic acid, which can cause brain damage and resulting erratic behavior in sea lions. This was first found by scientists in 1998 when hundreds of sea lions were found disoriented, confused, and stranded on the California coast. Okay, we now have another video. This one is on the domoic acid poisoning in sea lions.
The Marine Mammal Center says sea lions are like the canary in a coal mine, but for the ocean. And they're seeing rising numbers of sick ones coming into the hospital here and worry about what that means. They aren't quiet, and they certainly aren't well.
It's hard. It's really hard to watch these animals suffer in that way.
Which is why these sea lions ended up at the Marine Mammal Center's hospital.
It's an algal bloom, so fish eat it, sea lions eat the fish, and then the sea lions get very sick.
The center has taken in 70 sea lions since the start of July, all with domoic acid poisoning. It's a neurotoxin released by algal blooms and can cause severe or permanent brain damage. Only about half of the sea lions make it, even once they're rescued. Right now, most of the animals at the Marine Mammal Center are from the San Luis Obispo area. However, domoic acid levels are rising and creeping further north.
We could easily see more of these blooms and get, dozens or even hundreds of animals in again.
The state monitors domoic acid levels, and so far, no Bay Area fisheries have been shut down. But the numbers are creeping up around Monterey. With some of the warmest weather yet to come, sea lions and seafood here may soon feel the effects.
So we actually eat many of the same things that the sea lions do, as well as other marine creatures like sea otters and birds. So if they're getting those symptoms and these seizures and gastrointestinal upset, we can get it too if we're eating those fish as well.
Okay, to finalize our presentation, we have some information about an emerging foodborne pathogen. And the one we've selected is sugar toxin producing E. coli, or STEC. Epidemiological study of STEC E. coli resulted in multiple subtypes of E. coli circulating between butcher shops. All the subtypes were bovine in nature. In some instances, multiple subtypes of E. coli were found in single isolated butcher shops. Due to the nature of processing of beef products, the origin and the root cause of the STEC strain of E. coli is very difficult to determine. Okay, everyone, this is the end of our presentation. If you have any questions or comments about our video, we're open to them, and now is the time.